Today's podcast is brought to you by StrongHeartAcademy.com, where no heart is no victory. We are also brought to you by BJJ To Go. If you want to build your game and learn jiu-jitsu, go to bjjtogo.com.
Okay, so today I'm going to talk about my trip to CTA Camp. CTA. I've been with CTA, I think, for 10 years now. I get confused. Maybe 9 years. I've been to every camp, CTA camp, CTA Association camp that he's put on. During the last one we did was right before the pandemic hit. So I remember we had a guy that runs it, Nick. He's super cool. He got us Airbnb, and we had a bunch of guys in one house, and a ton of guys in one house, and we had multiple guys to room. We had multiple beds in a room. These houses are basically just set up for Airbnbs, but we're watching the news, and we're seeing everything pop off. This is in February, 2020 February, and you could see it in China, and you're seeing like crazy videos of people in China. And I remember seeing like them like netting people, like they're catching butterflies, but it's, people with COVID in China, and they're like locking people in their rooms and like welding them in their rooms and stuff. Their lockdown was insane. And I'm like, man, I was getting worried. I was like, this doesn't look good. And I remember the guy I was talking to, he does, not a nurse, but he does like blood tests in Canada. Clayton, he's a super cool guy, but he was like, I don't think it looks like kind of like a flu or something like that. It's probably fine. Their healthcare is not as good as ours in the West, which is true. But that was the last one we did. Within 2 years, nothing. So we didn't. Our last year we didn't have one. So this year I was happy we got it. It was very last minute. So basically they do the it's in San Jose, and they do the CTA camp is near a tournament. So the tournament's usually in San Jose or San Francisco. This year it was in Santa Cruz, and they were waiting for IBJJF tournament, and they're waiting for them to announce the tournament. It was like 3 weeks out, so maybe less than that, like 2.5 weeks. So it was one of the smallest camps. That's a lot to ask of people to make it out there. It was very short notice, and I had to do a lot of things to make it happen. And it was pretty stressful for me. I have a new puppy at home, and my kids are just starting school that week, or the week, half in the week before. So it's like, okay, kids are going back to school, and then this is also when like people are signing kids up, and people are coming back to, activities like martial arts or whatever. Summer's vacation's over. Now we're going to start doing things. So I wanted to be at my academy, help sign new members up and to greet them. And I like people to see my face as an owner, that I'm the guy. This is a mom and pop place. We're not a big giant corporation. This isn't like 60 schools and I'm never at these schools. No, it's me. I'm the guy. So even that, I was really nervous about leaving. And I know I had capable people. I have multiple black belts here. They're all teaching classes, and I have multiple people per class, especially with kids. But, for me, it was like walk away from babies, my actual babies at home, my kids, my wife, and then my school. And so it was stressful, and I'm trying to get everything, ready in order to do this, and I'm going to leave for a while. I didn't even leave the full week, but so I didn't have that week was my father's birthday, and I forgot that the week before my father's birthday, I forgot his birthday. I just forgot. I don't do that. I'm not that type of guy, and so that sucked. And then there was a tournament. Somebody competed that Saturday, and I couldn't make it, and they felt like I let them down, and I just feel like I couldn't. I had so much to get done. I didn't feel like I could do it. I also had these issues at home. My pool is green. I replaced 600 pounds of sand. I took the 600 pounds out of our filter and put 600 pounds in with a cup. You just take a cup. Okay. 6,000 more of those. It was terrible. But things have been breaking my house. I've been trying to fix everything so before I leave, like my wife doesn't have to do anything. I'm already saying you have to take care of the kids and make sure the house is okay, and this brand new puppy that's tearing everything up. So I was just trying to get everything done, and so that family, they felt I let them down, which is unfortunate and made me really sad. So that was like right before I had to go. It was terrible. I don't like people feeling that I let them down. It's I just hate that feeling. So I try to do the best I can. But that was very last minute. I just couldn't get it done. I just couldn't. And I was going to go earlier, but then the time changed. And it was like, okay, well then I'm going to have even shorter time to get things done before I have to go. So I got my flight. I went out there to camp. I met out there on Tuesday morning. They already did. They competed that Saturday, Sunday in Santa Cruz, and then they started the camp technically on Monday. I missed that training, and then I showed up around noon. They were already in the first class of the day for CTA. So when you go to camp, you can go to any classes they have available there, which is like all day long, 6 a.m. I think they have a 10 a.m., like a comp class at 1 or 2. This class is like in between. It was like 11 o'clock class. So that's CT members only from all affiliates. And it looked like they were doing more advanced stuff, some advanced passing. I was like at the tail end of it. So I just sat and watched with all my luggage. And anytime Kyle's teaching, I like to observe, man. He's such a master, So when you can observe a master, I highly recommend you do, no matter what it is. And so it looked cool. Unfortunately, I missed that one. Then that night we went and they opened a new school in Palo Alto. So we were going to go out there that night, which I was excited about to see their new school, the new things they're doing, Kyle and his partner. And I didn't have a hotel, so I didn't know where I was going to stay. So if that was even planned out, I didn't even know where I was going to stay. And every year I've done something different. I've slept on the mats there. I've slept in. They have a t-shirt shop. I slept in there on the floor. I've slept on couches. I've slept in. Like I said, I've done every year for about 9 years, 8 years, something like that. And I didn't have a plan. So there was somebody in an office, and he was willing to share the office with me. I was going to sleep on the floor, get a mattress or something. But, I decided to walk down. There's like this road, goes through the neighborhood, and you can walk down maybe, 6 blocks, 7 blocks, about a mile, half a mile. And then there's a hotel there. And over the years, this hotel is kind of nice. I've been in there once before. Big rooms, it's like a boutique hotel. Not very big, maybe 4 floors, 5 floors. It's not huge. It's pretty small. And people are like, well, it's kind of ghetto now. I'm like, whatever. Like I've slept on couches. I don't care. I go in there, and you could tell it's like run down. There's a couch in the lobby that's like peeling. The leather on it's peeling off, and they don't seem to care. And there's like graffiti etched and stuff, like scratch graffiti, not markers or whatever. And they're not taking care of that. And but they were friendly at the desk, and he gives me a deal, and I didn't even haggle with him. He's like, well, you're gonna be here for 3 days. Well, I'll take this off. I was like, whoa, it's pretty cheap. I'm like, it's $100 a night. That's cheap anywhere in California. That's cheap. But this place used to be a lot nicer, and I was like, well, okay. That helps me out. First night was good, but then the next night got rough. So I'll go back to that. But I got a deal. I had my place. I dropped my stuff off, put all my gear in my bag, and I walked back down to Kyle's gym, which is about 7 blocks. I don't know. I'm guessing 7 blocks away. And then I got a ride. I was gonna get rent a car this year, and I just, again, trying to save money. I spent all this money prior to this, and I knew this was going to cost money for this trip, and I had some other things I had to pay for. So I was trying to be cheap, and I've always done it on the cheap this trip. And but everyone's so generous and nice, and people, I think I got a ride. First day I got a ride with Kyle. That's what it was. I got a ride with Kyle in he's a really cool Tesla, and he drives like a maniac, which for me is fun. I'm one of those guys, if I die, I die. He drives like a maniac, and I trust him though, So I'm sitting in the front seat, zooming in at traffic, and we get there, and Palo Alto is really nice, beautiful gym. Not a big gym, but it was like really pretty, well done. They took their time, and I think they did a great job. I mean, it's a great gym. I thought it was like really cool things that they did. They had like a changing room in the back. They had all these like touchless toilet, so you just wave your hand, it flushes, and it was very Palo Alto. They want to make it nice because that's a very nice area. Very, very nice area. There's not even homeless people, which is crazy because San Jose has homeless people everywhere. So we did some deep half, which was fun. Or actually, we did 2 classes in a row. So we did a fundamentals class, which was very, very fundamentals. I'm a black belt. Fundamentals is fun if there's other advanced belts in there because you can train with them. But there's a lot of white belts that they brought to the CTA camp. A lot of the owners of the other gyms, they brought a bunch of guys, and they were all nice people, but it's like I was teaching. I didn't want to teach black belt. I didn't want to teach at all. Like when I go out there, I want to learn. I'm not here to teach. So I just felt like I was teaching a little bit. I didn't really want to do that. I teach every day. This is kind of like a vacation for me from teaching. I want to be a student. And I didn't learn much from the fundamentals because I kind of know Kyle's fundamentals. Probably not at his master level, which is funny because he's even yelling at black belts like about hip escapes. You're not doing it right. And you're like, these guys are black belts. And for whatever reason, I've never been yelled at by Kyle. I think he thinks I'm like probably like mentally handicapped, and he's like, I don't want to make fun of a mentally handicapped guy. I don't know what the real reason is, but like sometimes I feel like he thinks you're not supposed to say retarded, mentally handicapped, and he doesn't want to make fun of a mentally handicapped guy, so he never yells at me or whatever. But so either I was doing it right or he feels bad for me, doesn't want to yell at me. Either way. So that's the first class, first hour. Second hour, we do deep half, which was pretty cool. He did like a waiter sweep, but a cool back take from it that I've never done before. It wasn't like the most advanced thing, but it was cool for me. I got something out of it. And then he puts everyone in the middle, or not everyone in the middle. 8 guys go in the middle, and I volunteered to go in the middle. And there's probably 30, 40 of us, maybe more, like 40 something people in the class. And then and so you just stay in the middle, and then you as a person in the middle is like king of the mat, so if you win, you stay in. And we had to go from deep half position, so the person coming in gets to choose. Almost all of them choose top. They don't want to be in the bottom position. So I worked a lot of deep half, and I suck at deep half, and I was proud of myself. I stayed through I'm guessing about 25 people in a row. I swept them or took their back. I don't think I got any. I did get 2 submissions, yeah. But I wasn't looking for submissions from there. I'm trying to get the back takes and stuff. And it was good. I rolled with some black belt from Brazil. He was cool. He was a nice guy, bigger guy, probably my age, maybe a little bit older. I took a picture with him. Marcelio? I felt bad. I don't remember his name. His wife was really nice. I called her Raquel, but it's Hakel because R's or H's. Dummy, I know that. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for over 20 years. Nice guy. And so I beat him the first time, but then he went through the whole line again. And then, man, I had nothing left. And it was a good scrap, but he beat me fair and square. And then so I had to get back in line. I go through the line, and then I beat this other black belt. And I passed his guard, and then I was in line again, and I stayed in line to the very end. And this one guy, we ended up like scrambling to our knees. He arm dragged me and took my back, but he only got 1 hook in, so there's no points Okay, so he tries to choke me, and he just crushes my face. He's probably 250, and then I just like, he was high with his head because he's a blue belt or white belt. I just grabbed his head and I pulled it down because he only had one hook. So if you have one hook, I lift one leg up. You don't have that hook, boom, pull you off. And then I smashed my knee in his chest. I was so mad because he was just trying to roughhouse me. I get it. You're a white belt or whatever, and you get behind a black belt. Like, that's an accomplishment. I get it. He's like, you could tell I was a wrestler, right? I was like, yeah, it was a good arm drag. And, he caught me off guard, and you're so freaking big. But I was like pissed that he tried to crush my face. I had like a bloody lip inside. I had mouthpiece on too, and it still gave me a bloody lip. And it was just weak. I don't know. This isn't the Mundials, you know what I mean? So I stayed in because I beat him, and then I stayed in to the very end. I was proud of myself. I was like, man, I'm in pretty good shape. I did good. And then the next day I slept in. That night I slept in. It was a good night's sleep. The hotel was fine. The next day I go and we do the noon class, and it was like just open. It was just very basic stuff again. And my knees started to hurt. This is three classes in. I don't do twice a day anymore. I'm 42. It's hard I don't take anything. Like, I don't take testosterone or nothing. And it's hard to keep I'm in shape, but my knees start to get tired, and I feel like it leads to injury. I'm not a young man. I got to be smarter. So I started to just feel it, man. I'm training, but it was okay. And then we trained that noon, and then that night we trained again, and it was very basic again, and more white belts, and it was cool. But I was like just kind of done with the white belts. And then the next day I just took the noon off. I was like, so I contacted, that afternoon I got done, I watched the comp class, and they're getting ready for ADCC. So ADCC, if you don't know, is the top grappling tournament in the world. I would say over Worlds and Mundials. A lot of Brazilians might argue this, but this is like the creme de la creme, honestly, because you gotta win tournaments to get into it or get invited. You can't just show up, like you can the Mundials. Now, Mundials, they used to have this thing where you have to win something in Brazil to get here, but Americans could just go in, which is also weird. But this is the creme de la creme. So, Yuri's won it twice, I think. Yuri Simone's, and he's under Kyle. And then Mason made it to the medal round. He lost to Craig Jones, and then he beat Craig Jones and Sugg a couple times. But this year, Mason's coming after it, and he's had a good year of gi and no gi, as a black belt level, and now he's going to kind of revenge ADCC. So it was fun watching. I mean, they get after it, and I've learned a lot from his comp training over the years. I like to watch. I've done one or two of them, and then I generally chicken out because those guys are animals. I also feel like I'd be wasting their time. They're training for life-altering, changing tournament. If they win this, their life will change. I don't want to be in the way. If I can't give you the reactions you need, I don't know if, I'm a young guy. And they're not fighting. Nobody in that tournament is going to be in their 40s, I don't believe. And, they're young guys getting after it. And so I don't know. I didn't feel like I wanted to. I don't mind getting my ass kicked. I just don't want to waste their time. So I watched. It was so fun to watch. And I liked how he was running rounds. He's doing 3-3-3s, 3-minute rest. So it's 9 minutes. Then kind of like wrestling where you have, rounds, and kind of like ADCC too a little bit. And then the last round is ADCC rules. So first round you get to choose. Second round, the other guy gets to choose. Third round is you start standing ADCC. So it's a ton of wrestling. I'm watching these guys. I mean, great grappling. These guys going after it. I've noticed this one guy's really good. A couple guys wrestling was amazing. I asked one guy, I'm like, hey, do you teach privates? He's like, look, man, that guy over there, he's better than me. And it was Kyle Driscoll. And he was a D1 wrestler from Oklahoma State. He's awesome. And he teaches at AKA, American Kickboxing Academy, where Khabib and all those guys and Cormier and all them. And so I got a private the next morning. And then I was like, I'm not going to take the noon class that day. So Thursday I didn't take the noon class. I set up a private for that day. That night we took the night class. It was okay, whatever. It was basics again. And I don't think even Kyle taught that. I think it was like, what's his name? Maragoni. And Maragoni's a great teacher. It's not that. It was just very like how to open the guard. I'm like, okay, I kind of know how to open the guard, pass it. But so I had fun. We did the private lesson, it was great. He let me film it. And I had a partner to kind of work with, Colin. Shout out to Colin from Irvine CTA. He was great in Texas. So I did that, and then filmed all that. I thought I learned a lot from his takedown series. I did outside single, high crotch, and then when they sprawl kind of on your side versus in front of you, how to turn the angle properly, how they do at at Oklahoma State. He taught me how they do it, and it was really cool. And I'm going to use that one for sure. And then he showed me kind of how Cormier likes to do his high C to lift, which is really cool. You know, you can watch it in his MMA matches. Actually, you can watch it in his wrestling, old school wrestling matches too. I mean, his high C is so good. So I thought that was useful. And then I decided to walk. I was going to get a gi at the shop. They have a shop. Os Gear is like right down the road, about 2 blocks away. I walked down there, and then I walked in front of the tattoo shop that one of the guys, Matt, owns, that goes to CTA. And a lot of guys went and got tattoos. And, you know, I just sat in there talking to him and congratulating on his new shop, his beautiful shop. You know, I like nice tattoo shops. They're kind of like art galleries, you know. I've been into some seedy ones. I've actually had tattoo in someone's bedroom, you know, that he set up a thing in his bedroom, which I don't recommend that. This is a nice professional shop, you know. It was nice. I'm talking to him, I was like, you know what? I want to get a tattoo. So he didn't have any openings. His apprentice did. So I got this tattoo. Matthew 6:33. So if you want to look that up, I'm not going to tell you what it means. You really need to look up Matthew 25 through 34. Matthew 25 through 34 to get the full kind of understanding of it. I like that line of it. So 33. Okay, Matthew 33. Because that is like, if you just worry about that, it covers the other stuff, the way I look at it. Okay, it's only like, someone asked me yesterday, look it up. Is it going to be reading for like an hour? I'm like, no, dude, it's like a paragraph. It's not very long. If you can't read a paragraph, come on, man. You need to read a little bit more. So I got the tattoo. She was great. Like, I barely felt it. I don't have any tattoos on my arms, so I didn't even, like, I was like, wow, I don't even feel that. I literally didn't feel it. It was so light. So I did that. And then I came back, did the training at night. And again, it was okay. And then was ready for the next day. I got to leave Friday morning, fly out. So we had our dinner that night, Thursday night. It was fun. We went to a Brazilian steakhouse. Oh, no, it was Wednesday night we did the Brazilian steakhouse. Sorry, back that up. Wednesday night we did Brazilian steakhouse. And whenever I eat steak, I feel like I recover pretty good. But, man, I was still sore on Thursday. And so I took that class. I skipped the noon, and then I did the night again. And then that night, me, Kyle, Colin, and Nick, the other associate or partner of Kyle's, they took us to the same steakhouse, and he hooked me up again. And I just thank you for that. You didn't have to pay twice. That place is expensive. It means a typical Brazilian steakhouse. It's expensive, and this is they're like connoisseurs of Brazilian steakhouses, so they think this is the best one. You know, I've been to a ton of them with them over the years. I've done tons of steakhouses, Brazilian steakhouses. If you've never gone, you should go at least once if you're a glutton for meat. It's great. There's tricks to it though, how to do it right. So it was good, man. And one of the things, like, I like about these association camps that I've been telling people is that it's the camaraderie that I really enjoy. And jiu-jitsu has done this across the board with me. You know, in my own academy over the years and just my own training, I'm at 22 years. I've met so many people with so many different jobs. You know, even at the one of the white belts, I'm like, oh, how do you train at? He trained at that place, and I said, oh, what do? You know, you work around here? And he's like, oh, I'm a scientist. I'm like, oh, cool. What kind of scientist? He's like, oh, I study premature babies or babies, why it goes wrong, like you know, genetic problems, things like that, you know, outside influences, and what can we do to make it better? I'm like, oh, that's so cool. You're contributing to society. Not all scientists do that. So I was like, that's such a cool job, you know, and I was talking to him about it. But those are type of people that, where am I going to meet a scientist, any scientist, you know what I mean? I used to be a ditch digger landscaping guy. Like, where am I going to meet that? Sometimes I would eat the owners of the houses I would take care of. So that gave me a little bit of variety. But you don't talk long conversations with these people, so you don't get the same feel. In jiu-jitsu, I've had, you know, multimillionaires train with me, and you just being around people that are in your class, are in your race, are in your religion. And I think it's such a benefit of jiu-jitsu is getting in where we all have this thing in common, but we're very different, you know, conservative or liberal or whatever. You know, even in my own gym, I have very conservative guys and I have very liberal guys, and we all like to choke people, right? So it's good to have a common ground in anything, and it's what society right now is missing, and I feel like we're being pushed against each other on purpose. It's a whole nother thing, but when I was over there in San Jose, I get to meet people from other countries, and because the association is worldwide. So one day I got to go, Wednesday afternoon after training, we did late lunch, and this guy Vu, he took me to a pho place, and he's like a connoisseur of pho, which is like Vietnamese cuisine, and you know, pho is like a soup with meat in it and different things you put stuff in it, and I've had it before, but I wanted to go with those guys, and then Vin, who's from China, and then Shambu's from Suriname. So it was these three kind of guys, you know, Asian. Suriname is actually South America, but I got to eat with them and, you know, share the afternoon with them, pick their brain, talk to them about things, and it was just cool, you know, like I'm just some white boy, and I get to how many times do I get to talk to someone from Suriname, period, Vietnam or China? And you know, I've met people that you know, maybe second generation here, but first generation, or you know, people that are currently living, even if you're first generation but you're living in America, you still have the American experience if you've been here for a while. If these people are from other countries. Now, Vu technically isn't. Vu is from Virginia. He was born in Vietnam, but he's an American citizen, and he actually works for the government, American government. So it's about as American as you can get. But you know, he still has, he still speaks fluent Vietnamese, so he's ordering for us, and it's just cool to have that experience of like multicultural, multi-religion, multi-social, economic. Those three things are big barriers that people kind of separate themselves with. You know, your religion, how much money you make, and your culture of like borders. What are the borders that you reside in? And you know, border itself is a dividing line, and socioeconomic is a dividing line where you can live, you know, because you can't live in a mansion if you make 20 G's a year, you know what I mean? And so you're not going to live around those people. And so I find it like super helpful for myself just to have give myself a perspective. And I heard this conversation with this guy, and he was talking about like difference between empathy and perspective, and he believes perspective is more important than empathy. Empathy is saying that your feelings are valid. Like, I understand you have feelings, and I empathize with your feelings, that you have feelings about a topic. perspective is actually kind of putting yourself and seeing through their eyes and understanding, walking in their shoes, putting yourself in their shoes. And I find perspective is even more powerful. And that's what it was, that CIA guy. I watched a podcast with this CIA guy, and he used to be an agent a couple years ago, and he was, I think, Lex Friedman podcast. And it was very interesting when he was talking about perspective versus empathy. And he's saying empathy is a little overused. Perspective he finds very useful. And, when he was trying to turn people in other countries, understanding their perspective gives you how they think, And too many times when we put ourselves in these socioeconomic, religious borders, we're in these like categories, and it's like there's a line between them, and it's like, feel like poor people are the wealthy tell the middle class to hate the poor, and the poor hate, the wealthy, and it's just like, and then the liberals and the conservatives pit everyone against each other, and it's not helpful at all. And I like just having a talk over food, that we all can kind of have something in common. We all do jiu-jitsu, and even if we don't believe the same things, I can at least get a perspective, and you can tell an honest assessment of how you view things, view the world. I had a great conversation about Vu with about his family and his son, and I just felt like they were honest conversations. I try to have honest conversations back with them, and my perspective as well. Hopefully they get something out of it. I don't know. But for me, it's like so powerful to have perspective of others. And jiu-jitsu, man, has done that so well for me. And I'll never take that for granted. And so it's really good for me to go out there, talk to other owners too. I talk to other owners of businesses. Hey, what are you doing? What's working, what's not working? When you're in your own area, everyone sees you as competition, so they don't want to share anything with you. So when I go over there, that people are more willing to share, and what's working in their different markets is helpful too. The last thing I was going to say. So the rest of the week at this hotel was insane. I forgot to talk about that. So I go in the vending machine to get a Dr. Pepper, and I look on the ground, and there's like gas station boner pills, Rhino, whatever, and just thrown on the ground, the wrappers. He's like, I need these pills now. I'm going to get soda, and then go off to the room and get down or whatever. It was kind of crazy. Then I go back to my hotel, and it's late at night. We get back. I think that was the night we had the school dinner at the steakhouse. I see next door, and it's really loud in the hallway. I'm like, what is going on? It's like 11 at night. Whatever. I stay up late, but I see that they peeled, like, instead of like paint on the doors, I think it's like a wallpaper. It was like almost like a wallpaper that they put over the doors to change the color of the doors, and they were ripping it off and shredding it. And I have a picture of it. I took a picture. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? I could hear them next door. It was like kids in there. It sounded like there's 10 people in that room, and they're stomping. We're on the third floor. He's stomping around. I hear him, like, whatever. I read at night. I was riding for a couple hours. It was like 2 in the morning. I'm like, I'm ready to go to bed. It is late, and these guys are loud. I go downstairs. I'm like, look, can you tell them to shut up? Like, it's loud. He's like, we'll send security up there, and if they don't, be quiet, then they get kicked out. Nothing happened, okay? They never got kicked out. They were allowed to like 4 in the morning, and I got up at 8 the next day to have a meeting with Nick and kind of talk of some stuff, which was like not much came of that, but I was so tired. I had like 4 hours of sleep, and then having to and then I did that private lesson. It's just like, oh man, I was dragging. But anyway, the hotel was wacky, and I probably won't ever stay there again. The room itself is nice, but the hotel itself was ghetto and sketchy. There's weird, sketchy people out front. There's weird people in the hallways. That hotel went down. I guess the pandemic hit them hard. And then someone said that in San Jose, like, they had some law that if they're past below a certain occupancy level, they had to allow homeless people to stay there. And I don't know if the city pays them for that or what. So that could be the thing. Like, hey, you're homeless, you want to stay here? Oh, cool. You know, instead of homeless shelter, which sounds nice on paper, but if you're paying to stay there and they're acting insane because they don't have a job tomorrow, they don't have to work, and they're just taking drugs all night long and being loud, and like, it was like a Wednesday night. I'm like, there's kids in here. They don't go to school, or what's going on here? It's 4 a.m. What are you doing? Screaming and just being crazy. So I won't stay there anymore. Anyway, just as a recap, CTA, I wore this hat because none of the Canadians came out this year. I was bummed out. Clayton gave me this hat. He sent it from Canada. You know, they love their hockey, so he gave me this hockey hat, which is sweet. Thanks. Shout out to Clayton. And thanks to everyone I got to hang out with. Haven't seen in a couple years. Hopefully next year it'll be bigger, and we'll have more time to hang out. I'll try to stay longer next year, I think, and get a better hotel. And maybe we'll get Airbnb again, because that's always fun to share the house with other people. You can kind of eat in the house, save some money, and use the washer and dryer there too. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this one, and peace out.
Let me talk for just a second, help me feel that sense of rhythm. Find the meanings in our bearings and discover this position as a stage along the way. Another rung to the ladder, either stalling or you're climbing, and I'd rather beat the ladder. Instead of getting fatter, let the footsteps resume naturally.